My fellow Americans, we gather here today at a crossroads in our nation's history. The American dream, once a beacon of hope and opportunity, has faded for far too many. Our economy, once the envy of the world, is now plagued by inequality, corruption, and stagnation. The very fabric of our democracy is under threat. We've been told that the free market is the answer to all our problems, that the invisible hand will guide us towards prosperity. But the truth is, the free market has failed us. It has created a system where the wealthy few accumulate more and more, while the majority struggle to make ends meet. It has created a system where healthcare is a privilege for the few, not a right for all. It has created a system where our infrastructure crumbles, our education system falters, and our social programs are gutted. We've been told that the American government is the problem, that it's inefficient and corrupt. But the truth is, the government is not the problem, it's the solution. It's the only institution that can address the scale of our problems, that can provide a safety net for those who need it most, and that can invest in our collective future. But the American government has been hijacked by the wealthy elite, who use their power and influence to rig the system in their favor. They've created a system of legalized bribery where politicians are bought and sold like commodities. They've created a system where the voices of the people are drowned out by the voices of the powerful. Enough is enough. It's time for a change. It's time to take back our government, our economy, and our democracy. And that's exactly what we're going to do. The solution to our economic crisis lies in a bold yet simple idea: $1 million annual salary cap on individual income and a $25 million annual salary cap on business and corporate income. Any money exceeding these limits will be donated to the state and federal governments to be used for the betterment of our society. This policy is not just a band-aid on a bullet wound. It's a fundamental shift in our economic paradigm. It's a recognition that our economy is not a zero-sum game, where one person's gain must come at another's expense. It's a recognition that we're all in this together, and that our collective success is more important than individual greed. The benefits of this policy are numerous. Firstly, it will reduce income inequality by limiting the amount of wealth that can be accumulated by individuals and corporations. This will create a more level playing field where everyone has a fair shot at success. Secondly, it will generate massive revenue for our governments, which can be used to invest in our infrastructure, our education system, and our social programs. We'll be able to fix our crumbling roads and bridges, provide affordable health care to all, and ensure that every child has access to quality education. Thirdly, it will remove financially fueled corruption from our government. No longer will politicians be bought and sold by the wealthy elite. No longer will our democracy be hijacked by special interests. And lastly, it will create a new culture of corporate social responsibility. Companies will no longer be driven solely by profit, but by a desire to contribute to the betterment of our society. But I know what you're thinking. Won't this stifle innovation? Won't it drive businesses and entrepreneurs away? The answer is no. Innovation is driven by creativity, hard work, and a desire to make a difference. It's not driven by greed. And besides, we're not talking about confiscating wealth, we're talking about sharing it. We're talking about creating a system where everyone has a fair shot at success, not just the privileged few. So my fellow Americans, let us embrace this new economic paradigm. Let us create a society where everyone has a fair shot at success, where everyone has access to quality healthcare and education, and where our democracy is truly of the people, by the people, and for the people. Now that we've explored the solution to our economic crisis, let's talk about how we're going to implement and enforce it. This is where the rubber meets the road, where we turn our vision into a reality. Firstly, we'll need to pass legislation that enshrines this policy into law. This will require a bipartisan effort and a commitment from our elected officials to put the interests of the people above the interests of the wealthy elite. Once the law is passed, we'll need to establish a new agency, the Economic Equality Administration, EEA, to oversee its implementation. The EEA will be responsible for monitoring income and wealth, identifying cases of excess, and collecting the necessary funds. But we won't stop there. We'll also need to establish a new tax code, one that is fair, progressive, and designed to reduce inequality. We'll need to close loopholes, eliminate deductions, and ensure that everyone pays their fair share. And to ensure compliance, we'll need to establish a robust enforcement mechanism. This will include audits, investigations, and penalties for those who fail to comply. But enforcement is only half the battle. We'll also need to educate the public about the benefits of this policy and the importance of economic equality. We'll need to build a cultural shift where greed is no longer seen as a virtue and where fairness and equality are valued above all else. Here's how it will work. Individuals and corporations will be required to report their income and wealth annually. The EEA will review these reports, identify cases of excess, and collect the necessary funds. The funds will be distributed to state and federal governments to be used for the betterment of our society. A new tax code will be established, one that is fair, progressive, and designed to reduce inequality. A robust enforcement mechanism will be established, including audits, investigations, and penalties for non-compliance. So my fellow Americans, let us build a society that is just, equitable, and free from corruption. Let us create a system where everyone has a fair shot at success, not just the privileged few. Let us make America a beacon of hope and opportunity for all. As we embark on this bold new path, we'll face objections and challenges from those who benefit from the status quo. We'll face criticism from those who say we're going too far or that we're not going far enough. But we must not be deterred. One of the biggest objections we'll face is that this policy is socialism or communism. But let's be clear, this is not about redistributing wealth, it's about redistributing power. It's about ensuring that everyone has a fair shot at success, not just the privileged few. Another objection we'll face is that this policy will stifle innovation and entrepreneurship. But as I said earlier, innovation is driven by creativity, hard work, and a desire to make a difference. It's not driven by greed. And with this policy, we'll be creating a new generation of innovators and entrepreneurs who are driven by a desire to make a positive impact, not just a profit. We'll also face challenges from those who say we're not going far enough. They'll say we should be abolishing capitalism altogether, or that we should be implementing a universal basic income. And while I understand their concerns, I believe this policy is a crucial step in the right direction. But we won't just be facing objections and challenges from outside. We'll also be facing them from within. We'll be facing our own doubts and fears. We'll be facing our own biases and prejudices. But we must not let these doubts and fears hold us back. We must push forward with courage and conviction. Here are some of the specific challenges and objections we'll face. Objections from the wealthy elite, who will claim that this policy is an attack on their freedom and their way of life. Challenges from the political establishment, who will try to water down the policy or block its implementation. Criticism from the media, who will claim that this policy is too radical or too extreme. Doubts and fears from the public, who will worry about the impact on their own lives and livelihoods. But we must not be deterred. We must push forward with courage and conviction. We must build a movement of people who are committed to creating a better future for all. A movement of people who are willing to challenge the status quo and to fight for a world that is just, equitable, and free from corruption. We've come a long way on this journey, from diagnosing the problems of our economy to prescribing a bold new solution. But now, it's time to talk about the future we can build together. A future where everyone has access to quality healthcare, education, and opportunity. A future where everyone can live with dignity and respect. A future where our democracy is truly of the people, by the people, and for the people. With this policy, we'll be creating a new generation of innovators, entrepreneurs, and leaders who are driven by a desire to make a positive impact, not just a profit. We'll be creating a new economy that is sustainable, equitable, and just. We'll be building a future where our children and grandchildren can thrive, where they can grow up with hope and opportunity, not just struggle and despair. We'll be building a future where our communities are strong, vibrant, and resilient, where everyone has a sense of belonging and purpose. Here's what this future looks like. A future where everyone has access to quality healthcare, regardless of their income or social status. A future where everyone has access to quality education, from pre-K to college and beyond. A future where everyone has access to good-paying jobs with benefits and security. A future where our democracy is truly representative, where everyone's voice is heard and everyone's vote counts. A future where our economy is sustainable, equitable, and just, where everyone has a fair shot at success. So my fellow Americans, let us build this future together. Let us create a world that is just, equitable, and free from corruption. Let us create a world where everyone can thrive, not just survive. Let us make America a beacon of hope and opportunity for all. Thank you.